Absolutely. Yeah. And we've seen the impact of hydrogen on the brain in a wide variety of different circumstances, whether it's with autism in younger kids or ADHD to, brain fog. And I guess I call it sort of mental endurance issues, like mental burnout with people in their 20s, 30s, 40s. And then with the neurodegenerative diseases, Alzheimer's and Parkinson's, and even concussions and, those types of related symptoms, CTE, all that kind of stuff. We work with a bunch of ex-NFL athletes as well. There's a critical connection between inflammation in the brain and oxidative stress in the brain and mitochondrial dysfunction and the proliferation of all these different diseases. Whatever's causing those elevated levels of oxidative stress and inflammation might be different in different cases, but it all kind of boils down to the same type of thing. And plus, a lot of people don't realize, but the mitochondria, if you were to study anatomy when you were in high school, you would think that maybe there's only one or two mitochondria in the cell, and that's where the energy is really being produced. But even more than that, it's the mitochondria has such a critical aspect on really all functions of the cell and therefore all functions in the body. But the brain cells, the neurons in your brain, you have more mitochondria in them than any other cell in your body and are therefore using up so much more energy than any other cell in your body. And if you have dysfunction in those mitochondria, or you have fewer mitochondria than you should have in your brain, it's going to have a really detrimental effect. And so hydrogen does a whole bunch of different things when it comes to the brain. As far as, the inflammation component and the oxidative stress component, we know it's able to easily pass through that blood-brain barrier. And actually, while it's passing through the blood-brain barrier, it can actually improve the integrity of that barrier because, a lot of people talk about leaky gut. Well, there's an issue with leaky brain as well. I mean, you can have different types of toxins and inflammatory substances that can get into your brain if your blood-brain barrier isn't functioning properly, and hydrogen can help to preserve the integrity there. But also, when it comes to the mitochondrial dysfunction, hormonal imbalances, hydrogen is having the signaling effect on over 200 different biomolecules in the body. And so it's upregulating brain-derived neurotrophic factor, which is, stimulates the growth of more brain cells, but it's also stimulating mitochondrial biogenesis, which is helping the production of more mitochondria within those cells. So you're getting more brain cells, you're getting more mitochondria in those cells. So your brain can start to function, on a much, much higher level. So we have people who are high-performing executives using this almost like a nootropic, but we also have people with that beginning stages of neurodegenerative disease, Parkinson's, Alzheimer's, who are using this to help to preserve their brain function. And also younger kids who are actually getting off of a lot of these study drug or ADHD medications like Vyvanse and Adderall and stuff like that, which help people focus, but they do affect your personality and they're not without potentially detrimental side effects. And the cool thing is that hydrogen can do all these things and has, I think, far greater therapeutic potential that we'll soon discover with more studies. But the safety profile is so incredibly perfect. I mean, there's no negative side effects. There's no way to take too much hydrogen. And so anybody can use hydrogen without fear of having any sort of adverse reaction to it. And while there may be some slight detoxification symptoms for some people in the beginning, in the long run, the only side effects that you have when you have hydrogen are unexpected benefits that you didn't plan on having. And so it's really an exciting field to be in, and especially when it comes to the brain. And I come from a family of neurologists, so very skeptical, very conservative people in the medical community that I'm connected with who, when I showed this data to originally, or showed the information to about hydrogen originally, including my dad, who's a retired neurologist, said, "Oh yeah, this is just snake oil." But once I started showing him the studies of what's going on with Parkinson's patients and Alzheimer's patients, in fact, there's actually a very recent really compelling Alzheimer's study, clinical Alzheimer's study that was done. He started looking at the data. He was blown away. He'll admit, and a lot of people in the medical community, if you really get them to be completely transparent with you, will say the drugs that are given for Parkinson's and for Alzheimer's and for some of these other neurological conditions, nobody actually really knows if they're going to be effective for that person.
Right.
But they do know for a fact that there are going to be side effects. So why not use something that may be just as effective, if not more, with no side effects, and something that you can use repeatedly throughout the rest of your life, and also has, added benefits of improved energy and body composition and skin and sleep quality and all these different types of things that hydrogen can help out with.